ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां व्यासशंकरमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्यां मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्तनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरते य उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। This particular verse 3.1 illustrates the mahima and the glory, the victory of Ishvara, the Bhagavan, as the sole karanam, the sole reason for the victory of the Devas over the Asuras. Just as the story is only an illustration, the story sends a message to everyone of us who consider the victory or success to one's own effort without attributing success to the Almighty Bhagavan. So here the example is quoted by the Devas, the Upadevas, Agni, Vayu, Indraha, all are Devas in their own right. They are all self-luminous, brilliant, effulgent, Sarvashaktiman. They got their own Shakti and powers. And when a person has got tremendous amount of power and tremendous amount of brilliance and knowledge, this can easily overtake the vision which one gets, and the person forgets that all this is possible only because of the blessing of somebody. Nobody becomes famous, nobody becomes overnight victorious without the contribution of somebody or the other. There's always somebody who is supporting. It can be a family member, it can be a mentor, it can be hard work, it can be the blessing of the Bhagavan, the Guru. So many things are there. It is just not only one's own effort which makes successful. So there are other factors which are responsible for someone to operate conducively and then become victorious. So in the same way here also, the story is presented as a Drishtantaha, the example to illustrate the greatness of this Bhagavan, Ishvara, and how the Devas, when they were fighting this war against the Asuras, they were requesting support of the Ishvara. And through the Bhagavan's grace and through the Shiva and Vishnu, all the people who contributed to this whole thing, they won this victory against the Asuras. And when the victory was being celebrated, they thought that this victory is entirely them. It is entirely due to their own effort, and this Ishvara was forgotten completely. So they were all enjoying. So that is what, to illustrate that effect, the story was given in the beginning. Now the story is being narrated in a verse form, in a prose form. So we'll just have to follow the verse, and as we go through the words, to explain the significance of each of the words and why it is like this. So the story you already know. So if you don't know the story or the scenario, then it will be difficult for you to understand this. So that's why I explained the first story itself. The rest of them, now we are just following through what each of them talks about. So the greatness of the Brahman is in the story. Athva Brahma Vidyayam Stutaye. So this particular stutihi or this particular praise is done here. Sutaye means in order to praise. For what? For the Brahma Vidyaya, to emphasize the greatness of Brahma Vidya or the greatness of having Atma Jnanam or Atma Vidya. Khatam, how? So Brahma Vijnanat Agnihi Adayaha Devaha means only because of the knowledge of Brahman who appeared as Yakshaha. So Brahma Vijnanat Viddhi means no. So Brahma Vijnanat Viddhi. Because this Brahman was appeared as the Yakshaha, in front of who? Agnihi Adihi Deva. So in front of Agni, Vayu, etc., Indra, this Yakshaha appeared as the Sakshi, the witness. It came as a brilliance. Correct? So Agni Adayaha Devaha means what? Agni, Vayu, etc. And it appeared only because of the knowledge Brahman had and to teach a lesson or to bring the person back to senses. So it is not, so whenever we have the ahankara rising in us, how does the ahankara get resolved? Ahankara does not get resolved by understanding, doing more tapas and etc. Ahankara has to be resolved only when you understand what ahankara is, the wake of the jnanam. Correct? So jnanam has to occur, then only ahankara can go. So the Yaksha also appears as Brahma Jnanam there. That's why he says Brahma Vidyayam Sutaye. Hope you follow, right? So to remove the ahankara or to remove this particular wrong notion which the Devas have been harboring, and the Brahman knew this. The Ishvara knew this, that these people are harboring their own views and celebrating the success. Because he's Sarvagya, he already knows. So Sarva Karma Phala Dhata. So the person who is the giver of all karma phalam is the Bhagavan. So Devanam Shrestutvam Jagmuhu. Right. So the Devas Shrestutvam means greatness. Correct. So the greatness the Devas obtained is because of what? The Ishvara only. The Devas did not get success just by them. The Ishvara was behind everything. That's how they got success. Tataha api atitaram Indra iti. So even this Indra also, tataha api atitaram means excelled. As mentioned before. Atitaram means as mentioned before in previous verses or previous section also, Indra, etc. also achieved glory or success only because of this presence of the Bhagavan. Or the Bhagavan presented here is what? As Brahma Vidyayam. So it is not presented as some Saguna Brahma. It is presented as Brahma Vidyayam because of the knowledge one has to acquire to know this Yakshaha. So when somebody comes in a flash, somebody comes and appears in front of you in a form. If you do not have knowledge about what the form is, you will take the form to be Satyam. And the form becomes your inquiry. So you inquire only about the form rather than understanding what the form is. So that is where the most people in this universe, they deal with this kind of reality only. They are able to understand form, understand experience, understand the situation. All those things are able to understand without understanding that all these forms and experience are nothing other than the same manifestation of Brahman. So when you forget the Brahman, you forget Brahma Vidya, or when you do not know what it is, then this becomes Satyam for you. Whereas that is why the study of Brahma Vidya is emphasized. So Brahma Vidyayam Stutaye. So Stutihi means this praising, or this is praised here to illustrate the importance of this particular phenomenon which is forgotten by even the Devas. So forget about the Manushya. Manushya is possible to forget, or we will forget it. But this example is given, even exalted Devas who are always in the minds of the Bhagavan and who are always been praying to the Bhagavan all the time, they also can make a habit of forgetting the Bhagavan when they become victorious or when victory comes to the process. So that is the first line. Okay. Then second, Atva, or the second reason why it is said Durvigneyam. See, it is Durvigneyam means, Vigneya means understanding or to know. And Durvigneyam means difficult to comprehend, difficult to understand. And Brahma iti etat. So this is shown here, how this Brahma is not easily comprehended, or this knowledge of the Brahma Vidya cannot be understood by somebody who just wants to study something. It is difficult for someone to just comprehend what Brahman is, because it is not an object of knowledge. It is a subject of knowledge also. It is the swarupam of one's own true nature. So it cannot be studied using any pramana. Pramanam is only there to give you understanding of what it is. But after that, the pramanam also becomes only a means of knowledge. So Durvigneyam, difficult to achieve or difficult to comprehend. And what is this? Brahma iti etat. This is shown. Pradarsyate iti etat pradarsyate. Means this is shown. What is shown here? Ena Agni Adayaha Ati Tejasam Api. So Agni Adayaha Ati Tejasam Api. So the Agni, etc. Indra, Agni, etc. So Adihi means you should take all the other devatas. You would have given me 3, but there may be other devatas who have got more powers. So Agni Adayaha Ati Tejasam Api. Tejas means what? Great power. Tejas, brilliance. So they have their own brilliance, effulgence, which is illumining the entire universe. Kleshe naiva. So kleshaha means difficult. So klesha naiva means very great difficulty. It is not easy for someone to know. Even those people like Agni, Indra, Vayu, etc. also were finding it difficult. Kleshe naiva, Brahma, Viditavantaha. So they also recognized Brahman, or they also understood Brahman after a very long time, only with great difficulty. They did not understand initially when the Yaksha presented himself. So as the story I told you, when the Yaksha came into the court, they all thought that they are actually some imposter, or somebody has come to take their seats. It could be a demon, it could be somebody who's challenging their position. So they were not sure who the person was. So they wanted to go and check, use their power to check it. So tataha indraha devana. Right? So tatendro means what? Tataha indra devanam api ishuro api sanniti. So even with difficulty also, those people could understand what Ishvara is. So is given Tata Indra also. So Indra is supposed to be one of the most exalted devatas. Correct? He is a Mahadevata, you can say that. Deva of the Devas is Indra. So Indra also with great difficulty only understood. So as the other people also. So Atva Durvigneyam Brahma iti etat pradarsyate. What is shown? Kleshenaiva Agni Adayaha Ati Tejaso Api Brahma Viditavantaha. So with great difficulty only all this Agni, Adayaha, etc. who has got Ati Tejasam Api, who has got extreme brilliance, they could understand Brahma with difficulty. Tataha means also Indra, who is the Devanam Ishwaram Api Sanniti. So even Indra also had great difficulty in understanding this Brahma. So this is the reason why it is praised is given in this example here. Then the third thing he says here, Vakshamanaha Upanishad. So Vakshamana Upanishad means what? The story revealed through the Upanishad. Vakshamana Upanishad means the story revealed through the Upanishad. In this chapter, Vidhiparam, as per the rules, or based on Vidhi only. So as per the rules, Sarvam means the entire story here. So from here, the Upasanam is being described here. So the Upanishad here means Upasanam. Vakshamanaha means discussed in the 4th chapter. So he is talking about the 4th chapter discussed. So this is being discussed in the 4th chapter. So he is giving a prelude to say that whatever is being said here, the Upasanam, the Upanishad word is being talked about as the Upasanam. So it is a meditation or a method of contemplation on to know what the Bhagavan was, what the Yaksha was. So the Upanishad word here is called Upasanam, not the actual Upanishad meaning. So Vakshamanaha Upanishad Vidhiparam Va Sarvam. So as per the rules given in the Upasanam, it is discussed in the Upanishad in the 4th chapter. And what are the Upasanam discussed here? Vidhiparam. Number 1 is called Vidyutaha. Vidyutaha means lightning. Vidyut means lightning. Then Nimeshaha. Nimeshaha means blinking of an eye. Blinking of an eye. Then third is Manovrittihi. So these are called Yakshaha. So when the Yaksha came into the court of Indra, it was as short as the blinking of an eye. So by the time the Devas could see, he came, he disappeared. Also, just as lightning, when it comes, you see the lightning, but lightning immediately goes, correct? It doesn't stay for a very long time. If you want to watch a lightning, it illumines, goes, correct? It's hardly even there for even 1 nanosecond, very, very small duration. So the blinking of the eye, there is Nimeshaha, the Vidyutaha, and the Manovrittihi, means the thoughts arising in the mind are so fast it is compared to the Yakshaha. So the Yakshaha is a Upasanam, and this is what they do, described in the 4th chapter. So Vakshamana Upanishad Vidiparam Va Sarvam is the 4th. So the 4th definition of this one. Okay. Then number 5. So it's called Yaksha Upasanam or Saguna Ishvaraha. So Saguna Ishvaraha or Yaksha Upasanam. So all the 3, they come and go, therefore is compared to the Yakshaha. So in the story, the Yakshaha is compared to the person who comes and goes within a second. He is not staying in the court, makes a brief appearance, and then just flashes and goes. Correct? Then, so far you're clear, the wordings you're able to follow, right? Then number 1, next is Brahma Vidyayam Vyatirikena. So without Brahma Vidya, see Vyatirikena means without the knowledge of Brahma Vidya, what happens? Praninam kartutva bhoktutvam bhoktutvad abhimanaha. So Mithya iti etad darshanarthaha. So Brahma Vidya Vyatirikena Praninam Kartitva Bhoktitva Abhimano Mithya Ityeda Darshanartham. You got the word?
Brahma Vidya Vyatirekena Praninam Kartritva Bhoktritvadi Abhimano Bhoktritvadi Abhimano
Ityeda Darshanartham. Up to this.
Ityetad Darshanartham.
Okay, so I'm going to explain that word. So Kim Etad Darshanartham. So what is Kim? What is Darshanartham? It says Praninam Kartutva Bhoktutva Abhimanaha iti Mityaha. So what is Darshana means? What is seen here? It is seen here because without the knowledge of Brahma Vidya Vyatirekena. So if you do not have Brahma Vidya or knowledge of the self or knowledge of the truth, then all the praninas, all the pranis will always have kartutvam and bhoktutvam. So they always have the feeling of I am the doer, I am the enjoyer. And this abhimanam will be there. And the abhimanam is what? Is mithya. Mithya is it is not, it is wrong assumption. Mithya means it is not taken as not existing. See, mithya normally we say as what? As though existing, correct? But here mithya means it is wrong assumption. Just as I told you, Upanishad means upasanam here. Here also when I say mithya, it means it's a wrong assumption or wrong notion a person has got because of the absence of Brahma Vidya. So if you don't have Brahma Vidya, then you are naturally endowed with kartutvam and bhoktutvam abhimanaha. Is it correct? So everybody thinks that I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, because the I becomes the Atma, which is the Akarta and not the Bhokta, gets the title called the Ahankara, and then the person continues to function using this falsely identified Atma. So the copy of the Atma is taken as Satyam, and the person continues to enjoy and do the activities without knowing the truth of the Atma itself. Just as the Devas, when they got the support of the Vishwara, they enjoyed all of them. In the process of doing all the activities, they forgot what Bhagavan was. They forgot completely who was the responsible person behind this. Right? So that is why he says here, Brahma Vidya Vyatirekena Praninam Kartritva Bhoktritvad Adi Abhimanaha. So Adi means etc. So Bhoktritvad Adi means etc. All the other superimposition which you get because of this, like Kamaha, Krodaha, Moham, Loham, Madam, Matsaryam, the Shad Ripuhu, which all get associated due to this wrong perception. And this is Abhimana. This is the Abhimana, means this is the wrong perception. This is the Ahankara which I got, which is Mithya. And Iti Etat Darshanartham. So this is what is presented here. This is what is seen in this case here. Va means or Atva. Akyayika. So Akyayika means here narrated here, or the story is presented here. What is presented here? Yatha Devanam. So the Yatha Devanam should be connected with Praninam Kartutva Bhoktutva Adi Abhimana. Okay. So just as the pranis who don't have knowledge of the Atma or the Brahma, those people, they enjoy Kartutva and Bhoktutva and they become Abhimana. The same way the story is presented Akyayika, narrated here, just as Yatha Devana Jaya Adihi Abhimanaha. So Jayam means what? Victory. So Jaya Adi Abhimanaha means victory, glory, all of them which the Devas are assuming. This is Abhimana of the Devas. Just as the Prani also forgets the Bhagavan because Brahma Vidya is not there. Same way Devas are also forgetting Brahma Vidya. Because of that, they think they are the victorious people, and this Abhimanam came into their personality. Tadvat iti. Is it clear? That was. So, Dharma Vidya Vyatirekena Praninam Kartutva Bhoktutvam Adi Abhimano Mithya It Etat Darshanartham Va Akyayika. Akyayika means narrated or the story is presented. Why it is presented? Because just as Yatha Devanam Jaya Adi Abhimanaha Tadvat Iti. So the equation is compared to Devas may be there. It doesn't matter. Even the Devas are also can forget the Bhagavan, forget the Atma. What do we say? Deva also is not exempt from birth. They are also free. They are also supposed to be going back. So Devalokam also is not free from all these things. The only thing is Devaloka, it is free from Punyam and Papa. But ignorance is possible. See, temporary ignorance or temporary forgetfulness is possible. We can be in this Bhuloka, we can be forever ignorant also. Because we are covered by Punyam and Papam. So anything we should do, we are always obligated by the right or wrong. Is it Punyam or Papam? Will I get benefit, not get benefit? So you're measuring every activity based on certain values, certain attributes, certain benefits you're going to get. And in the Devalokas, they are not like this. They are always victorious. There is nobody going to win, lose. They are the kings. Asuras may come and fight with them. Occasionally, the fight will be there. See, there's always a constant fight with Asuras and Devas. So, if you take the story, you will think there is some Indra sitting there with the sword, the Asura standing there and they're fighting. It is not like this. What it means, the Devas are supposed to be the good thoughts, which are present as the Indriyam. So in the Purusha, in the class yesterday, in Purusha Suktam, I told how the Indriyam Devas were also surrendered into the Purusha. Deva Yagya Matanvata Pasantaha Asya Sitajam Grishma Idma Sharaddavihi. I explained that word yesterday also. So devas are present as the Indriyam, and the Indriyams are capable of producing good thoughts. So they are called Devatas. The same thoughts, Asuras also can be there. Asuric swams are there. So always there's a fight between good thoughts and bad thoughts. There's always a tussle. We cannot always have good thoughts, correct? There will be occasionally bad thoughts coming there. Then what do? You fight the bad thought. Then you become victorious. Then again another thought comes. So this is a constant battle which is happening all the time. So the Devas are also there fighting this battle, and they are always insecure there because they do not know which Asura will be powerful. Who is going to come next and claim ownership to this? So they have to be very, very careful, and they have to be prayerful to the Bhagavan. That is what is illustrated here. But in the process of doing that, they can forget. Habitual victory or consistent victory can lead into forgetting the source of the victory itself. Correct? We must not forget it. That's what it's saying here. So Devas are also possible to forget. He can also forget. So he's comparing the Tulyam, his comparison between the Devas as Tata Devanam Jaya Adi Abhimanaha should be equated to Praninam Kartritva Bhoktritva Adi Abhimanaha. Is it clear? So there's a Tulyam. So even the Devas are also not exempt. The Prani is also not exempt. So both of them can be covered in ignorance. Both of them can be subject to this Ajnanam Brahma Vidya. Okay. Up to this is clear. Now, in page number 3, the actual verse is being narrated. Brahma hadevebhyo vijighe Brahma devebhyo vijighe tasya ha brahmano vijaye deva tasya ha brahmano vijaye deva amahiyantaha. So Brahma devebhyo vijighe. So Brahma here is the limitless reality represented by Yakshaha. So the previous one, Yakshaha, is Upasanam. Here, Yakshaha is supposed to be the limitless reality. The one which came as Sagunam is also Nirgunam. So depending upon how you see, it can be like this. See, there is nothing called Sagunam, Nirgunam. There is only Nirgunam. But if the same Brahman gets associated with Upadhi, it becomes Sagunam. Right? There is only Nirgunam only. Ishvara is always Nirgunam only. But somehow due to the association with the Upadhis, with the manifestation of the form, it takes the title as Sagunam. So the previous example where we saw Sagunam was Upasanam is because of the form which they saw. They saw the form of Yakshaha as a form. So when they see a form, it becomes Sagunam. So all of the worships, anything which you are following, anything, any experience or anything which you are having, any miracle or any, somebody asked me yesterday about the Purushan class. I think one student asked me, see, there is somebody who is doing Tantric Vidya and somebody is doing, Kundalini, raising of the Kundalini, chakras, etc. And they are able to see their death going through. They can predict that they will not come back. So he asked me, is it true? I told him nobody can predict anything about death nor birth. You can only experience what you are going through this. Because birth and death is something not in your hand. And neither any experience about the death also is only an experience. If you say that I'm experiencing, I'm going to do like this, I'm going to go to the head, etc. And the Kshanam also, there's only an experience, a thought only. So, no, but they are saying, they can say anything. I can also say that I will not get reborn. Do you believe me? When I say I'm not going to reborn, what is not going to reborn? So the answer should be that I as Chaitanyam is not reborn. The physical body may come, doesn't matter. But when I say that I'm not the physical body anymore, that means I have disassociated myself from the physical body, from the Upadhi itself. So from the Upadhi itself is not there, Sagunam is not there, only Nirgunam is there. So anything which I narrate, anything which I experience, Ashta Siddhi, Arima, Garima, all these things are there. Mahima. So there are Ashta Siddhis, people are there. They may have, they may know things, they can predict things, but it is also an object of knowledge. And it is going to be there as long as they are alive. When the physical body passes away, do you think the knowledge will be there with them? It will not be there. Because it will go with the physical body itself. The particular knowledge will go. So it is not going to be there with anything forever. But Atma Jnanam will be there because as consciousness. Because it is not something to be known. It is not something to be understood as an object of knowledge. So it will be there as the unmanifest power. All these things are manifest powers of knowledge. Shakti, etc. is manifest power of knowledge. What you're getting, right? So, because this thing come. Some people are, pranic healing will come. Some other topic. Now there's a new theory called pranic healing. A lot of students are getting into this called pranic healing. There's one student, she used to study before, occasionally come and go. Now full-time pranic healing gone. So when you go into the direction, some people do Reiki. It's another thing. Reiki also is there. Pranic healing is there. Then some occult power, like some Siddhi powers are there. So there are different senses are there. So Vedanti doesn't really bother about all these things because for him, what is the point of having Ashtasiddhi powers? What am I going to get out of it? If I get knowledge also, if I get about all these powers, what will you use for? So he is not interested in this jnana. He doesn't want to know about this because this jnana anyway is of no use to him. He may be, to some extent he may use it, but he is not going to really use it to the extent. So he doesn't want to pursue that path. So he says, I would leave that path, let other people pursue what they want to do. I will pursue Brahma Jnana because this is what is important. Instead of knowing what Yaksha is, the form, and focusing on what the form is, I would rather spend time on understanding what the form, from where the form came. The source of the form itself is understood, then you resolve the form, the source, there's no normal form. Got idea? That's why it says here, Brahmaha Devebhyo Vijigye. So Brahma as Ishvara once, won the battle for the Devas. So Devebhyo Vijigye means they won the battle for, the word Ha means once upon a time. So it says once upon a time, there was a time when the Brahma, who is seen as Saguna Brahma Ishvara here, they won the war, or he won the war for this Devas. Because Devas are Saguna Brahma. So Ishvara also becomes Saguna. In reality, Devas and Ishvara, there's no Sagunam, there's only Nirgunam only. When the form comes, Sagunam comes. Form is not there, Nirgunam. Right? So, Tasyaha, of that Brahman, Tasyaha ha Brahmano, Vijaye Devaha Amahiyantaha, means of that Brahman, or indeed the Brahman, victory was glorified by the Devas. So Devas glorified the victory, which was indeed because of the blessing of the Ishvara, the Brahman. So Brahmaha Devebhyo Vijigye, to understood. So due to the reason of Brahma being there, Ishvara's success being there, they were victorious. But that victory which was given by the Brahma, Vijayo Devaha Amahiyantaha. So Devas thought that the victory belonged to them, which is a wrong perception. That is the first line. So here there are three things are discussed. Number one, Brahma, the limitless reality. Vayuhu, Indraha. So Vayu, Indraha, Agnihi. They represent the sense organs and the mind. Indra represents the mind. Vayu, Agnihi represent the sense organs. Then, third, Uma Devi. Uma Devi is in the story, you'll see it somewhere in the Bhashyam. Uma Devi represents the Guru or the Shastra. So three characters are there. Who are they? Brahma as Ishwaraha, limitless reality, represented by Yakshaha. Second is Vayu Agnihi, represented by the sensory organs, powers. Indraha, represented by the mind. Then Uma Devi, represented by the Guru or the Shastra. Is it clear? Four characters are in the story. These four characters are being described and how they are going through this is the story. Then Brahma yata uktaha lakshanam paramha kila devebhyaha arthaya vijigge jayam labdhavat. So Brahma yata uktaha means as unfolded in the previous chapters. Yata ukta lakshanam. What is before? Param. Supposedly, or kilaha means supposedly, devebhyaha, for the sake of the devas, the power of the Brahma was discussed. Arthaya vijigge jayam labdhavat. So Brahman is always here, endowed with the power of Maya. I think we know this. So it is the fundamental class. Shuklam Bharadaram class is Brahman is endowed with the power of Maya. So Maya is a power which is belonging to Brahman, and Brahman uses the power of Maya to manifest itself as the Prakriti. And the Prakriti, when it is manifested, it comes in three gunas. So Sagunaha. So Sagunaha, so when Nirgunam associated with the power of manifestation become Sagunaha. And this Sagunaha becomes with all the attributes of the Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna, Tamo Guna, etc. and different forms and practices. Correct? So when the same Nirgunam, Brahma, gets associated with the manifesting power called Maya, it becomes Sagunam. But Maya is not independently or doesn't have the capacity to operate independently outside of Brahman. Correct. Maya doesn't have the power to operate independently outside of Brahman. Just as a magician is performing a magic on the stage. The magician and the magic are non-separable. Correct. The power of the magic and the magician are they separate? They are same. It is one and the same and is residing within the magician. Correct. Now in normal cases, when the magician comes to your house and talks to you, hello, how are you and everything else, he is not doing any magic for you. He just comes as a person with the potential capacity to project a magic. Correct. Now when I want to see the magic, then what does it do? He uses the power of magic within him to create an impression, and then it makes you an illusory world. Correct. So the illusion is created, a magical world is created, and you are in the magical world. Now the magical world is where the jiva is living. We as the jivas who are asking for the magic is living in this world, oblivious to the fact that the magic is being performed. Correct? You are only seeing the person there. You are not seeing what he is doing and what sort of tricks he has got. He has got some occult power, something like this. Suddenly you will see there's a bird flying there and you are sweating. All these things happening. But a magician need not use magic to manifest. Correct? He can remain as it is. Hope Jay, you are following, right? Okay. So magician need not manifest and just be as it is. So it will be unmanifest power of Brahman. Same way, Brahman also need not manifest itself. It can be unmanifested for a very long time. Only when this requirement, when the pressure of the manifestation is required, it uses the power to unfold itself. So people ask, why is this Brahman creating all these things? Why are the people are getting created? Because the pressure of the punyam, papam, karma, the karma is pushing this power to manifest. So due to the samashti prani, the karma, etc., which has been there, that is pushing this requirement for the power to act on Brahman, and then Brahman gets manifested as the Ishvara with all the saguna. And because of this, the Maya is still completely covering, and the jivas, the pranis live in this Maya for a very long time. As soon as the power is gone, like in the deep sleep state, when the power is no longer there, then this whole thing gets again gone back into the Brahman itself. So as soon as the magician says, okay, out of spell now, so what happens? The magic is gone. It has not gone somewhere else. It has gone back to its original source from where it came from. So you also come out of this whole thing called Brahma. Oh my God, I was just imagining all this magic. It is only nothing true. And you understand the truth about it. After that, you may go again to spell different thing. But once you understand what the magic does to you, then you're no longer interested in the magic anymore. Is it correct? You have a question, Jaishankar?
Yeah. I'm not sure, but there's an external pressure for the unmanifest Brahman to get manifest due to the prarabdha or any other samashti prarabdha makes the unmanifest Brahman, it forces the unmanifest Brahman to use the Maya to get manifest. That's a bit difficult to...
It is difficult to understand because the closest explanation we have is the karma theory. So we have all this theory with karma we got. The reason why we are existing here. Why are we existing here is because of the same reason. There is no other explanation given in the Upanishad or better explanation anywhere available in any text at all to state that why this jiva was created. So the closest example you can see is in the Purusha Sutta Bhashya. So in the Purusha Sutta Bhashya only the creation theory is explained a little bit more detail as to how this universe was created and why this yajna has to be created. So for this yajna to be created, there had to be a structure created. So the structure was created with all the different, Vayu, Agni, etc., along with the rituals, along with the ingredients. Then the Abattan Purusham Pasum. Right? So then Pashus were created, Jivas are created. So the creation theory starts from that Supreme Brahman, everything was step by step created in order, and in the same order everything goes back. So
I agree.
It's just
yeah, but the principle, the way I understood before is that's how it is created. It's created. It is describing the process of manifestation, but there is no pressure. There is no pressure for unmanifest Brahman to manifest at a particular because of some pressure. It's called Aho Maya.
See, as I told you, there is no real need for a Brahman to manifest, but the Brahman manifests because his own nature of projecting. The nature of projection is, the projection is only illusion only. It is not a real thing. That is why the universe is actually not treated as Satyam, it is only imaginary, as though real. In reality, there is no universe outside of you. See, the creation theory is proposed for a person to understand why you are going through the Prarabdha karma, why you are experiencing suffering and pain, because you associate yourself being the doer and enjoyer. But the moment you feel that you are not doer, enjoyer, there is no universe for you, this is not responsible, you are only the Brahman or the Atma. For such a person, there is no need for creation theory at all. But if I directly tell you that you are, I am Atma Brahma, for a person, layman person, you will say, okay, Aham Brahmasmi, okay. But then when somebody, how do you know you are Aham Brahmasmi? No, you told me you are Aham Brahmasmi, I am Aham Brahmasmi. So he doesn't go beyond to understand why it is. So the creation theory is first proposed in the Upanishad to say that all these things are like this. These are all created. And then all these things were all were Purushaha only. See, yat Purushena Avishaha Deva Yajna Matanvataha. So because first when the whole thing was created or manifested, they didn't have any creation at all. They didn't have any ingredients to create. So they could not, they had only their mind which was there. Devas had only their mind which came first. And with their mind only they surrendered the Purusha also into the fire. So they offered the same Purusha as the Havis also. Right? Yat Purushena Havishaha. Right? So the Purusha itself was offered as the fire, and then from the day they take everything out. So Putaha become pure. So the whole philosophy behind the creation theory is explained just to illustrate the futility of this universe. But when I say the pressure to create this is because, as I told you, the magician is just sitting there doing nothing. Only when he has to do something to earn a living or something, he will do this. Otherwise, he will just say, I'm not interested. You come and ask me, you want to do magic, I'll show you. If you don't want to know about it, then you are on your own, I'm on your own. He is not interested in discussing magic with you or showing magic just because, oh, let me show my power to everybody. These are all stupidity. See, when you buy a ticket, right? See, when do you want to have magic? There's an advertisement in the paper. Somebody puts, there's a magician who is going to come and do some magic for you. $100 ticket. So what do? You have a requirement. You are under pressure to go and see the magic, right? Out of 100 people, only 2 people may go. I may not go, you may not go. But there are 98 people are there who are willing to go and see the experience. So there is a pressure, indirect pressure on the sales of ticket for the person to say, okay, so how many people are interested to know what it is? So let me go and demonstrate what it is. If nobody is coming there, why would he bother to go and exhibit the magic? It's not there. So that's why I say, external pressure may say, there is this samashti avidya which is present in everybody else. And this avidya is the one which is causing all the karma phalam, the kartutva and bhoktutvam. Because of this continuation is happening. And this universe is cycling through samsara because of this activity. So samsara is endless, correct? Ajnanam is endless. But ajnanam can be ended. Beginningless ajnanam is there. But ending can be done by understanding what ajnanam is, correct? You can end this. Like when you come out of spell of the magician, ajnanam is gone. You can be under the spell of this ajnani for a long time also if you want to be under the spell of the magician. He will give you, I'll put you on 1 year term. I'll spellbind you for 1 year means you accept the term. So you are under the spell for 1 year and you don't want to get out of it. But if you tell enough, I want to get out of it, you will say, okay, you are free now. So he is gone with his magic. He is not affected by you. You are also not affected by him at all. Right? Because you understood what magic was, what a magician was. So you understood what Maya was and what Brahman is. So they're not two different things, only one. You got it? That is what is said by when I say pressure. Nobody is actually pressuring externally to do anything. It means the samashti ajnanam is what is pushing the samsara to continue for a long time. In reality, there's no samsara at all. Samsara is only a brahma. It's only an illusion. As long as we think we are samsara, we'll be in samsara. When you think there's no samsara, there's no samsara. So it is only understanding, cognitive understanding. Physically, you cannot do anything. You cannot say that, physically I would like to be disconnected from everybody. No, physically you still have to be there because your physical body is there. It is in this prapancha, everything is there. Activities are being done. So you cannot disconnect it physically. Cognitively only you can resolve the avidya. That's what it says here. Brahmaha devebhyo vijigge. So this Brahma was the one which is a limitless reality represented by Yakshaha. And this Uma Devi represents the Guru Shastram which illustrated this particular phenomenon called Brahma is there. How this Brahman is there. And the Yakshaha which you saw, which you see later on, the Yakshaha or the form which you saw is an illusion. It is only an imaginary form you saw, but the form itself is non-separate from the Brahman which I have been contemplating on. See, Uma Devi came there as what? As a Guru, Shastra. And when ultimately when Devas etc. were not able to find the answer, they went to Uma Devi and said, what are you doing? Then I am contemplating on this Brahman, on this power, which you saw as Yakshaha. So according to me, he is not Yakshaha, he is the consciousness itself which came in the form of Yaksha to you. So then when he understands what Yaksha was, the form disappeared, then he could understand what the power of consciousness was, correct? That's what is said here. Brahmaha devebhyo vijigge tasyaha brahmano vijagge devaha amahiyantaha. Then Brahma yata uktaha lakshanam param ha kila devebhyaha arthaya vijigge jayam labdhavat. So this Brahma yata uktaha lakshanam param. So this Brahma which is being illustrated, which is being explained before with the Lakshanam in the previous chapters, is supposedly kilaha for the sake of the Devas. So for the sake of the Devas, this particular Lakshanam of Brahma is being discussed or been discussed before. And what is it? Arthaya vijigge jayam labdhavat. See, the jayam labdhavat means the victory which was achieved by the Devas was an illusion, was an imaginary thing because it was not a real victory for the Devas. It was a victory for the Brahman or the consciousness. It was not a victory just for them. It was possible only because of the grace of the Bhagavan. So, arthaya vijigge jayam labdhavat. Is it clear so far, that particular line? Okay. So what we will do is from next class, we will continue now. From the next line, Devanam Asuranam cha sangrame asuran jitva jagataraha atina ishvara setu betrutna devebhyo jayam tat phalam cha prayachad jagataha stenehe. So that is that's a vakyam which I will explain next class to you. So far, is it clear? The Bhashyam is clear to you? Any questions? Have you got any words which you want explanation? Okay. So no questions, then we will stop the class here and we will recontinue in the next class. As I told you, all the subsequent things are elucidation or the elaboration or the commentary on the story which is being discussed briefly in 5 minutes. But the essence is told us how this Brahman has to be understood, how this Brahman cannot be understood easily by a person of Manda Buddhavadinaha, or a person who is not prepared for understanding or doesn't have the required adhikaritva. So that is being illustrated here. And even a person who has got good qualities and the capability, it is also possible for him to forget it because of the old habits, because of the abhimanam which is coming into the ego. It is possible for a person to temporarily forget it and ignore it. So for the purpose of not ignoring, for the purpose of not forgetting it, this story is illustrated. So always Upanishad always reiterates, refocuses, reemphasizes to make it very clear. You are Brahman, you are Brahman, you are Brahman. You are not samsari. See, in Brahmana Chintanam, Brahmaivaham na samsari, Brahmaivaham na samsari, Brahmaivaham na samsari. Brahmaiva aham, aham na samsari. Brahmaivaham, aham na samsari. Brahmaivaham, aham na samsari. A mantra, the contemplation mantra. It keeps repeating, saying again and again that you are Brahman, you are samsara. You are Brahman, you are samsari. So if I keep telling you this, what will say? I am not samsari. I am not samsari. So when with the meaning you understand what is samsari and you are Brahman, then it becomes very clear to you. You will never forget even sleep also. So that is what the essence of the Upanishad Bhashyam is, to reinforce, emphasize, and make it very strong that you don't forget it. You already know all these things. Why do we keep teaching again and again? It's because of reinforcing. So to understand what it is. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Namaste. Shubhradri to all of you. Hari Om.